What is up, everyone? When I think arcade, I think simple rules, loud feedback, and the kind of replay loop where you say one more run and suddenly an hour is gone. The Nintendo Switch has always been perfect for that because you can go handheld, docked, or pass a controller to a friend in seconds. And since Switch 2 has been out since June 5th, 2025, I've been rebuilding my arcade favorites with that in mind too. A lot of these games feel even better when you can just jump in fast, whether you're on Switch or Switch 2. Let's jump in. Contra. Operation Galuga is the kind of game that makes me sit up straight like I am back at an arcade cabinet, hands sweaty, trying not to waste my last credit. On Switch, it runs snappy, and the controls feel sharp, which matters when bullets are filling the screen. I love that it keeps the classic Contra rhythm, jump, shoot, roll, and panic. But it also adds modern checkpoints and upgrades so the challenge feels fair, not cruel. Co-op is where it really shines for me because yelling plans with a friend is half the fun. If you want a pure action fix on Switch or Switch 2, this one delivers every time. The weapon variety is simple but satisfying, and the boss fights have that old school, learn the pattern vibe. I keep coming back for quick runs too. Andro Dunos II is a love letter to old shoot-em-ups, the kind you would find in a dim arcade corner with a crowd watching. It looks clean on the Switch screen, with crisp pixel art and explosions that never get muddy. What hooks me is the weapon system. You swap between 4 shots on the fly, so you are always making quick choices instead of just holding one button. The stages are short, punchy, and full of little enemy tricks that keep you moving. I also like how it respects your time. You can practice, learn routes, and feel yourself improving. If you own a Switch 2, this is the sort of game that still feels perfect in handheld mode. Headphones on, chasing a better score. The soundtrack is pure arcade energy, and the final boss tests you. Mr. Driller. DrillLand is my chill arcade pick, the one I boot up when I want quick sessions that still feel clever. The goal is simple: dig down, manage air, and keep moving, but the level design turns that into a puzzle every few seconds. On Switch, the colors pop, and the music has that upbeat, classic Namco vibe that instantly puts me in a good mood. What surprised me is how many modes it packs in. You get little theme park style challenges, co-op options, and enough variety that it never feels like one trick. It also hits that sweet spot where anyone can understand it fast, but getting clean runs takes real skill. On Switch 2, I can see it being a perfect grab-and-go game for flights and commutes. I tell friends to try it once. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is basically a history museum you can play, and I mean that in the best way. You get a stack of classic arcade versions, from the early weird days to the games people still argue about at tournaments. For me, the real stars are Street Fighter 2 and the Alpha games, because the pacing feels perfect on a Switch controller. I love hopping between versions and noticing tiny differences in timing, voices, and balance. Online matches can be a mixed bag depending on your connection, but for casual sets with friends, it is still a blast. The collection is also great for training your fundamentals, spacing, anti-airs, and patience. If you have a Switch 2, this is an easy download to keep installed forever. Even the art and music feel like a time capsule. Wild Guns Reloaded is one of those arcade games that looks cute for 5 seconds, then absolutely cooks you. It is a side-scrolling shooter, but the twist is you are aiming at threats in the foreground and background, so your eyes are always darting around. The steampunk western vibe is still weird in a good way, and the pixel art is super sharp on Switch. I love playing it in short bursts because every stage feels like a full action movie, with screen-filling bosses and ridiculous projectiles. The difficulty ramps up fast, but it never feels unfair. It just demands focus and good positioning. Co-op is chaotic, but that is the point. It turns into pure laughter and clutch saves. On Switch 2, I can see this being my go-to-party arcade pick. Bring your reflexes seriously. Sega Ages Out Run is my comfort food arcade racer. I grew up watching Outrun footage on old compilations, and playing it on Switch feels like finally getting my own little cabinet. The sense of speed is still awesome, especially when you are weaving through traffic and the music kicks in. Picking your route at the forks keeps runs fresh, and it is perfect for quick sessions. The Sega Ages version adds a bunch of options like different screen modes and quality tweaks, so you can make it feel just right in handheld or docked. I also appreciate how it is easy to learn but hard to master, because shaving seconds off your time takes smooth driving. driving. If you want a pure arcade vibe on Switch or Switch 2, Outrun is a no-brainer. The soundtrack stays legendary. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Arcade Classics is pure chaos in the best arcade way. If you have ever watched two characters fly across the screen with beams, assists, and wild supers, this is that energy on demand. I love that it bundles multiple games because you can jump from the earlier, simpler fighters to the full-on madness later. On Switch, it is great for handheld training. Just lab a combo for 10 minutes, then move on. The real fun is couch versus though, because these games make everyone yell, even people who do not usually play fighters. You pick a team, mash something cool, and suddenly you are hooked. The collection also preserves the arcade look and sound, which matters for nostalgia. On Switch 2, I hope online stays smooth because running long sets would be amazing again. Capcom Fighting Collection is the one I recommend when someone wants to explore fighting games beyond the usual big names. It feels like digging through a classic arcade lineup and finding weird treasures. Darkstalkers alone is worth it for me because the characters are so expressive and the matches are fast. But you also get games like Hyper Street Fighter 2, plus some deep cuts that are fun to learn with friends. On Switch, these are perfect for quick rounds, especially if you use the training tools to understand how things work. I like that the collection includes helpful extras like galleries and soundtracks because it turns into a mini history lesson without getting boring. Online play exists, but I mostly use it for local battles and handheld practice. If you want an arcade bundle on Switch 2, pick this. Wonder Boy Collection is like having a little time machine in your Switch library. These games are pure arcade roots, simple goals, tight movement, and that constant push to survive one more screen. I did not grow up with every entry, so playing them now is a fun history lesson in how platformers evolved. You can feel the shift from straightforward action to more adventurous exploration, and it is cool to bounce between styles. The collection is also great because it lets you appreciate the art and music from different eras without hunting down old hardware. Some of the games are tougher than people remember, but that is part of the charm. You learn patterns, conserve health, and celebrate small victories. I treat it like a sampler, one game a week, then move on. On Switch 2, it feels timeless. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Cowabunga collection is basically my childhood in a single icon. Even if you never played the originals, these games are the definition of arcade comfort. Jump in, beat up foot soldiers, grab pizza, and laugh when things get messy. The collection has a ton of entries, including the classic beat-em-ups that everyone talks about, and it is awesome to have them all in one place on Switch. I love how easy it is to hand a Joy-Con to someone and start co-op right away. The older games can be brutally hard, but the modern extras help, like save states and rewind, so you can enjoy them without needing superhero reflexes. The art, manuals, and bonus stuff are a nice touch too, because they give context and nostalgia. On Switch 2, Party Pick. Alright, that is my list. If you have a favorite arcade-style game I missed, drop it in the comments, because I am always looking for more games that feel like a real arcade night at home. And now that Switch 2 has had some time to breathe, I love that so many of these quick, replayable arcade games still fit perfectly in a modern lineup. Until next time, I'm going to fire up another quick run and probably lose track of time.